Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get started. If you can silence your cell phones, and if you don't mind closing the back door and any side doors that are open so we don't get disturbed, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Tuesday, the 10th day of October in the year 2023. This is a city council caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:07 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley will not be joining us because she is the proud parent of a baby boy. So congratulations to Councilperson Ridley. Councilperson Prinzary.
Here.
I hope she doesn't get mad that I made that announcement. Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Soleil.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
He'll be here.
He'll be here. Okay, we'll just have him absent for now. Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
Okay, we have 7 council members in attendance at 4:07 p.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman and the members of the Municipal Council, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of first floor of City Hall. The annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2023, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, December 15th, 2022. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, October 6, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. to the mayor, municipal council, business administrator, corporation council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. I am going to mark Councilperson Gilmore present at 4:09 p.m. So we now have 8 members present at 4:09. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
First director up is Director Kears.
Good afternoon, President Waterman and members of the council. I have one item before you today. Resolution 23-759, item 1014. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Convergent Technologies LLC for providing maintenance and security equipment through the Sourcewell Purchasing Co-op at the following locations: Jersey City Municipal Courthouse, Mary Beth McLeod Community Center, City Hall, and City Hall Annex Complex. Total amount of the contract is $119,265 with a temporary encumbrance of $10,000.
Sorry, Director, which number was this?
This is for
Point
maintenance
14.
of all the security items, including the X-ray machines and cameras and things of that nature. Thank you.
Next one is 10.28, Judge. Billy Judge, come on up. No.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you, Council President.
Captain.
My name is Bertram Obukwasili. It's good to see you all.
Judge, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm calling you Judge already. Can you just pronounce your last name again?
Yes. Oak as in oak, wa, and silly.
You.
Long
Excellent.
oaks. Thank you.
Just give us a little bit of your background. Yeah.
Yes. I graduated from Tufts University, and then I went to Rutgers Law, Newark. I clerked for Judge Verna Leith in the civil court and the family court. I worked for a couple of firms before I started my own practice. I've practiced criminal law in the Southern District and Eastern District of New York doing criminal defense. I also practice here in Jersey. I am barred in both New York State and in New Jersey State. And I am humbled by this appointment.
Any questions?
Well,
I met with him.
I want to make a statement because Bertram, if, not to say that no one is deserving of any title specific to the judge, but this gentleman here has left an entire sleeve out of his statement just now. I mean, this man here has completely dedicated his entire life since he's been here to aid his kids and to the children of the community of our city. And he's done it brilliantly, and he's done it tirelessly. And if anyone deserves this and anything, God bless you, my brother. You deserve that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councilman.
Very excited to see this nomination come from Mayor Fulop, and Bertram has just been an incredible pillar in Van Voorst Park, part of the invested in Jersey City in so many different ways. So exciting to see it come forward.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
And sorry, excuse me, no, ladies first.
I'll be brief then. How's that? They're just Bertram, in the time that I've known you and your advocacy for the students at LCCS and all the other great work you do, I'm very excited to see this finally get on the council agenda.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I just want to say congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was going to say is, you had me at Rutgers Law, Newark, fellow alum, and congratulations. Are you also part of the MSP program as well, or
Yes,
me as well? So
yes, I am.
it's nice to see, our alumni, ascend to these ranks. And thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you.
No, I just want to acknowledge that I actually met Bertram when he was volunteering when I was in recreation. And you was down, not Hamilton, what's the park right under the bridge?
Gateway?
No, not Gateway, coming down from
Benson, Jones.
Enos Jones. Enos Jones. Yeah. So, and I'm a Ruckus alumni as well. And you're homegrown local, which is always good. So good luck. Hopefully you get it. Well deserved.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I guess that's it. So hopefully Thursday night, a vote will go forth. Thank you, thank you. It's always good to see you.
It's great to see you all. I appreciate the time. And obviously, if there are any other questions for me, you can always ask. Thank you so much for your kind words.
Thank you.
Take care.
Deshay? Here. Paul?
Council President, council members, I think this is a late addition, which is not yet before you, but this is the recommendation of the 9/11 Crisis Response RFP Review Committee.
Council members, just if you don't mind, Paul, I'm just going to give them a little background. So in front of you, you should have a printout. It doesn't have the title into it, but Paul can tell us what the title is. For some reason, it didn't print out, but you do have the body of the resolution in front of you. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, so as you know, this is a process which has gone on for somewhat more than a year now, where our initial two RFPs were unsuccessful in producing an agreement. We put it out recently, received 3 responses, and the committee was unanimous in ranking the response from the Jersey City Medical Center first. I'll just add, with your packet, you will see the report of the committee, but some highlights were that far and away, they were the most qualified in terms of crisis response with 34 years of experience right here in Jersey City. They gave a detailed proposal, which is really an operational plan, and I think we thought that they were best positioned to begin service in a timely manner. Also, they had the highest response capacity, promising that they could service 2 calls at any one time. There's much else to commend that, but that's the recommendation that the city proceed with them as the vendor.
Let's start with a logistical question. Can we all get a copy of their proposal so we can review it?
I wasn't able to print out all the attachments, but if we're going to add this as a late item, then republish the agenda and all of the attachments will be available for you. But I can actually send you all the link before I even do that.
Everything is in iCompass. I understand we were just waiting for the final approval for the requisition. That would include the RFP itself, the successful response, the scoring of the review committee, and other associated documents.
Hey, Paul, I have a bunch of questions, but just one real quick. So the amount is 4.2, roughly 4.3 for 3 years, correct?
That's over 3 years. That's approximately the 1.2 million per year in operational costs, which was, I think, a number which has been widely used over the past several years. But year one, they also proposed $345,000 in one-time startup costs, principally for acquisition of tools to do the work.
So Paul, I have a question. So for example, if there's a crisis happening and 911 gets called for this crisis, is this going to be at the data center of the Jersey City Medical Center out of this city, or is it included into our dispatchers?
So I think the final detail is something to be worked out as we implement. A call could theoretically come in. The way calls work right now is that most calls come directly to the 911 service, which the city operates. As soon as they're identified as a mental health issue, they're then transferred to the Jersey City Medical Center operators. That would continue, and those operators would dispatch to either the current mobile crisis team or to this new service, depending on who is available and the type of crisis.
And my last question, do you know if they are already equipped with manpower for this?
So none of the 3 respondents was staffed currently. All identified people that would steer the implementation, and the medical center's proposal, I would say, was the most detailed in terms of the credentials of staff that they would bring on board. The expectation is that this service would begin about 45 days after contract approval. So rounding that up slightly, this could be a December 1st start.
Does this new service differ from the mobile crisis unit that exists?
So I think that, Councilman, as I read it, there are a couple of ways. The first is that the mobile crisis unit has a fairly strict protocol about what they will respond to, and that's driven by their charter from the state to do psychiatric screening and really critical response when there's a threat to a safety threat. Someone is a threat to themselves or others. This allows a more broad response to all type of behavioral health issues, and I think which would include the suicide, persons who are suicidal, other behavioral health issues, and I think it's best thought of as an addendum to the service. Rather than the 24/7 service that we originally envisioned at the start of the process, this was scaled down to meet that 1.2 million number. So it is a 5-day-a-week, 8-hour service, and based on analysis of the calls, it's set for Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., which produced the highest number of input calls available for response. Monday through Friday, yes. We used call data provided by public safety to analyze the volume of calls which were identified as either an emotionally disturbed person or a suicidality as the universe that we looked at. And I will say that the calls were pretty evenly distributed day by day throughout the week. And we knew automatically that the time that additional service was required was in the busy time of late afternoon and evening. And the 2 to 10 produced, and Monday through Friday was the single 5-day segment with the highest number of calls. It was not that different from if you included Saturday or Sunday, but that was the largest number of calls that this service could answer.
John, quick question in regards to that. Is there opportunity, because I know the initial issue with the Arrive Together was the financial burden. Seeing that we have 5 days covered, is it a way we can entertain having that program for the other 2 days?
Yes, Councilman, it would have to be an amendment to, I would say that we should proceed with this and then add an amendment at that time. The initial conversation when we had 24/7 idea, it was in the range of 6 million. Now that we see Monday to Friday, the average cost is less than 2. We'll work with them to uptick the numbers from there. So we're asking for a supplemental proposal, but I think it's in the best interest of the community and the council to proceed with the original award. It'll take 45 days to initiate anyway.
Paul, let me ask you a question. Since we are awarding this contract to Jersey City Medical Center, and you know, when we vote on it in the past, it takes some days for this to be implemented. The next caucus meeting, can we have Medical Center here so we know exactly what we're getting for our money?
Absolutely, Council President. Just for the council, for clarity, the reason that we're asking for this item to be entertained as a late item is
Right.
just that the calendar, the way it worked out, the RFP responses weren't due until a little more than a week ago, and we didn't want to interfere with the process of review. So they finalized their review on Friday, and we just brought to the council as fast as we could.
And just to add to that, we need to be specific with the medical center, to send a representative from the behavioral clinic, not just a representative
Correct.
that's going to be talking about the hospital's do's and don'ts,
Right.
specifically from the behavioral clinic.
Right.
We'll ask the medical center to confirm the individual that will be attending
Yes.
prior to the meeting.
Thank you. So next focus meeting, go ahead. Thank you.
And Paul, apologies if you covered this with them. For this response, is this kind of using the model of behavioral health expert and an officer together, or is this more using the model of a team of kind of mental health professionals separate responding? Kind of, can you sort of walk us through how the proposal outlines the sort of interactions or lack thereof with the police officers?
So thank you. So this is designed at the city's wish to be a civilian-only response. So if there is not a safety threat, the people responding would be a mental health worker plus an EMT. That's one of the advantages too of the medical center proposal. Obviously, standard protocols for these services mean that if a weapon is involved or if a person is unusually aggressive, public safety would also get the call. And I think in designing this, we didn't want to stray far from what we had proposed earlier, but to me, this is very amenable to something which could expand or would also fit very nicely if the city chooses to adopt an Arrive Together kind of service.
Okay, so Paul, so with that said, that process is already happening. So what's the difference then? But you know, there's already a mobile crisis unit that goes to an area where there's a crisis. They determine whether a paramedic and an EMT is going to be called. You know, I like this, but I want to get it right, right? So we have that in place already. So what, I don't understand the difference.
Oh, Councilman?
No.
Okay, so I see two differences. The first is that this is really an addition of capacity at the times when we identified this kind of service was most needed. The second is that they have a different criteria for response than the mobile crisis team. The mobile crisis team's response is really directed by their funding from the state, which is heavily weighted towards an imminent threat to self or others. This covers the whole range of behavioral health issues, which as you know, are can be very non-threatening to be someone's life is at stake, like someone who is considering suicide. So the mobile crisis team, it's my understanding they are not actually deployed into the field extremely often. They screen the calls. And again, their principal criteria is that an immediate threat to self or others. This covers a much wider range of service and produces a civilian response to calls which would otherwise be answered by a police officer. And I know that some of the thinking nationwide behind this is that as valuable as officers are in many circumstances, sometimes some people, some situations, the presence of an officer is itself an escalation. So this allows I'd say, the gentlest possible response to ordinary behavioral health crises.
Can you speak more on the training that our 911 operators need to receive in order to be able to facilitate these conversations with the medical center?
It is my understanding that the current protocol does not rely very much on 911 operator training. As soon as the behavioral health or mental health issue is identified, the call is immediately sent to the medical center for the crisis team, and the same dispatch protocol would be used for this service at the medical center. And this is what I think one of the advantages of the proposal too. The service is already operating, the infrastructure is already there, and the dispatchers at the medical center would then make the assignment based on the type of call it is and the availability of staff.
So the 911 operator would make the distinction, like this is a mental health call. I should forward this over to the crisis unit. Do they stay on the line with them or dispatch anyone else?
It's my understanding that as soon as the mental health issue is identified, the call is transferred and the 911 operator from the city disconnects.
Sorry, I just think it would be good to go over with the 911 operators what they would consider a mental health episode. You know, a caller may not indicate that, a family member may, but if they're getting a call from someone and they have a feeling it might be a mental health case, they may want to go over some specific scenarios or definitions, or, want to know some key things so they feel better.
Like, John, is there any way, because again, we want to get this right. Is there any way that someone from the behavioral clinic and medical center could come here Thursday and speak to the city council? This way they can give us some sort of a break instead of waiting all this time.
Yeah, we can reach out after this meeting, Councilman. The reason they're not here now is because it wasn't public who the entity would be until we had this conversation. So now it's public that we will be entertaining their bid. It's best that they appear.
Yes, in the long run, we need to see exactly how 911 operators are being trained in incidents like this. So I think that's another conversation that we really need to have, probably with the authorities over there, because there's got to be some type of training they need, also trigger words or whatever. Right, because this system is not here. So we'll figure that out too, John, because we need to know exactly how they're being trained too. Right. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Council President, council members. Good evening.
Good evening. We have back on your agenda. Let me just get the number up. Give me 1 second. Okay, number 3.5 on your agenda, ordinance 23-103. And this is the phase 2 changes to the zoning. The last time this was introduced, it was pulled for more community input. And really, in order to reach the most amount of people, I made a video. Video is about an hour and a half, and we sent the video out to everybody in our listserv. I think we added it to our website. Yes, I'm positive we added it to our website. The last I checked this morning, there were 300 views. 100 of them may be from me, I'm not sure, but I believe that at least a couple hundred views were seen. We felt like that was the most equitable way to really do it, other than kind of bleeding the staff dry for community meetings. And as you know, we did at least 9 meetings leading up to that and had spent about a year going through all the changes. So I can re-talk about everything again, but I think the only difference between then and now is that we did try to do, I think, the most amount of effort for community engagement as possible.
You did.
Thought this was going to be tabled.
Council, it was tabled approximately 2 months ago. We asked planning to review more public input and Q&A, and then this is Tanya bringing it back.
Well, there's a lot of communities that have not been involved in this and a lot of people that do not want this. And I think there has to be further discussion throughout the entire city on this, wherever this is going to happen. It's wrong. Our communities are overburdened right now with traffic, overburdened with population, and now you're going to have houses in back of houses.
Well, is any questions for Tanya?
I have a question for the director. One of the questions that I got from some of the residents, this is sort of specific to historic.
Yep.
I know you and I talked briefly about this, but the question was whether or not it makes sense to establish the changes in the city's historic preservation master plan before the city's overall master plan. And so is there a reason why the master plan has to come before historic, or can they be done in tandem?
So I'd say some of the changes that we did were very, I think, preliminary, kind of holding the place before what feedback we actually get from the master plan. The master plan will allow us to get a more drill down. After the master plan is done, we still have to have more meetings on how or what we want to specifically change within the zoning regulations if we want to. Again, kind of just making the table of contents, I keep calling it, a little bit more efficient. So it makes sense when you're reading down it, RH1, RH2. We added the RH2 as a placeholder for Sherman Place, for example, because that is already in our master plan to become a historic district. And the zoning within RH1 and RH2 are not any different than the R1 and the R1A as it is right now. So the only difference, I know there's a lot of letters and I know it gets very confusing, but the R1A is like our large lot zoning. We actually added more lots to that in hopes that when we do have the end of the master plan, we can continue to preserve those buildings and those lots. But Sherman Place is not a wide lot area, it's a long lot area. And so it's not, doesn't necessarily apply the same way. So the RH2 still talks about large lot zoning, and it still talks about buildings that should be preserved or lots that should be preserved, but it's slightly different zoning. And these are placeholders, really. And the R1 zoning on Sherman Avenue is not the proper zoning. The RH2, I think, is again, it's a placeholder, but it's not even, it's more than that. It will preserve the intention of the historic designation to come. And if we need more detailed regulations, whether those be design standards or even coverage and setback standards, we can look at that then, and we can do that with historic architects.
Okay, so
John, oh, I'm sorry.
just ask that maybe the question is a slightly different way, just so I'm very clear when I communicate this back. The concern is that if we move forward, it's going to set the stage for upzoning in some of these areas that are maybe not considered historic by doing the master plan before historic. So with the placeholders in place, that sort of ensures, or maybe not ensures is not the right word, but sort of covers the idea that there's not going to be any significant upzoning in between the master plan and then the drill downs with the historic master plan.
If anything, it makes it safer.
Okay.
Right, because if we just left it as the R1, it makes it more open to all of the issues that the R1 are currently having. The RH1 and the RH2 are bringing more stringent regulations to all those areas, and the only thing we did was add more lots to it. Yeah.
I know we have the example in the Heights, but I'm also talking about.
Example in the Heights, but there's
happening
also examples on the
west
west
side.
side and further south. We did another full study and Maggie and Sarah at the time, Sarah's not with us anymore, but added more lots to it.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
Tanya, John, you just said that there has to be a lot of future planning on this. And until that point, we've seen enough of the destruction of neighborhoods with all this development. And now putting houses in back of houses, you're going to destroy a lot of the communities. You're going to make it you're going to change neighborhoods, and it's wrong. And I think until it's further discussed and the issue is finally planned, this should be tabled. It should not happen. I mean, it's wrong putting a house in back of a house. You're going to destroy a lot of these communities and a lot of these neighborhoods because you're going to have developers coming in here, buying a person's house and putting up another house in back. That's all for people to make money, not to take care of the people that are in the community or the neighbors or the people of the city of Jersey City.
So just to, again, with the ADUs, I know it's a concern. We spoke with Mike Carlock, who's the fire code official. The reality of ADUs in Jersey City is not really substantial. You have to have enough clearance that house, whatever it is, has immediate access to a right of way. So it can't be through another building. And when we were looking at a lot of the lots in Jersey City, because they have the 25 feet, it's probably never really going to happen. It is something that's kind of a best planning practice, and I think it works and it sounds good in places like Montclair where the lots are 50 feet wide by 100 feet. And I think for us, it's kind of an easy pickup. And actually a lot of studies, and I can send it to your office, have shown that the folks who are usually in the ADUs are the older folks who lived in that house, no longer can afford to, but they don't want to leave their neighborhood. And they're the ones that usually are still in the ADUs back in the site, but not always, of course. And so, and you know, we've talked about this very much already, but the behavior over the past 20 years of the tear downs and the rebuilds and the incentives to do those things are a direct cause of the current R1 zoning. And so many of the things that we are doing with this proposed R zoning are really trying to deal with that. So we deal with less tear downs. Again, there's conditional use standards in here that encourage rehabilitation. And I'm not sure you know, but we had some issues with our demolition ordinance, and being able to now also have this conditional use will also, I think, help us continue to persuade people to keep their houses, but not just keep them and rehab them. So there are a few things here. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I just want you to know that I have listened and I've gone and done the research. So
Tanya, I still think that we should have further discussion as far as they've already destroyed most of the neighborhoods. And most of the people that have lived here have moved out already, and you're going to chase a lot more people out because they're going to sell their homes to these greedy developers who are going to come in and put another house in back of a house. And I think it's wrong. I'll tell you one thing, I don't want it in my neighborhood. I don't want it up in Ward C. I think it's a shame. And you're going to destroy the island section of the city because, as I said, the greedy developers will come in, buy these houses out, chase the people out of the city and put in another house in back of a house. It's wrong.
Are these similar to carriage houses that have been built historically in the past, or?
there are not many. There's in the historic district, and those are grandfathered because they would never meet building code today. When I spoke to, I hope I'm not like repeating myself. When I did speak to the fire code official, he even said that if it's a brand new unit in the back, it still have to have its own utilities. So the cost of just the carriage house, which I think, when I think about it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to put my kid up in my garage and he's going to live there for college. Wouldn't fly. I'd have to actually go and get permits and get the sewer lined up and all of that for him.
Tanya, if you can, in a nutshell, just explain how does this benefit the city as a whole?
Benefit, I just didn't hear the last thing you said.
How does this benefit the city as a whole?
So, I mean, I think we put a lot of thought into the things that are in this phase two. My opinion of R1 is that it was something that we did 20 years ago, and it was actually a downzoning of what the existing zoning for Jersey City has always been. Jersey City, even in the 1 and 2 family neighborhoods, has really been by density, not by 1 and 2 family uses. It's always permitted apartment uses, and almost everywhere where you see R1. And in downzoning it, it's you kind of and using the R1, we're encouraging, incentivizing, you could see it everywhere, right? But you especially see it in the Heights, is the value of taking down that house and rebuilding for 2 condos that'll go over $1 million and for parking space that can go in the front. Whereas we've also found that if you do it by density, that maybe the illegal threes won't be as much of an issue, because if a lot has the enough size to handle it, that 3rd unit can be legally done instead of having to go to the zoning board. And again, the conditional uses, so we are encouraging the rehabilitation of structures. I probably should have read all of this before. It's been a couple months. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
send it back to us again. It's
Yeah.
been 2 months since we had this, right?
Yeah, and we are also allowing a conditional use for surface parking in the R1. That has to be public parking and have electric vehicle spaces, because we definitely heard the outcry for that. And we think an easier way to do it is to kind of a public parking area scenario that would be registered with the Division of Commerce. So it's also a way for the city to have an influx of money. I'm sure not a lot, but it is something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no parking on any of our streets now. So you put houses in back, most of the houses up by me have big backyards. They start putting up houses back there, you're gonna have more cars come into the neighborhood, no place to park. As I said, I know the people in my whole area do not want this. And most of them are really against this. And I think it should be further discussed.
A lot of the houses up by you are 3 families, though. They're not just 1 and 2s. I mean, they're big houses and they're low, but they're 3s and 4s, so.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Tanya. Peter?
Happy Tuesday,
Peter.
Council. I have one item on the agenda. It's item number 10.15, Resolution 23-760. And it's a resolution authorizing the business administrator to execute a discharge of mortgage for 39 Wegman Parkway.
Questions? That's it. Thanks, Peter. Paul?
Good afternoon, Council. I have 2 to bring to you today, one being an ordinance, one being a resolution. We'll start with the ordinance, which is agenda number 3.6, ordinance 23-104. This is an ordinance for the municipal council to be accepting the dedication of certain roadways, sidewalks, and utilities along Regent Street. This has kind of been a long time coming. I know Councilman Solomon has gone back and forth with us, planning, zoning, legal about this. So it was tied to a couple other things because it was so close to the light rail, but we finally worked it all out, and I think we're ready to dedicate this and take it for the city.
Thanks, Paul. I do have a few questions, but so the first one is, I know in the process of dedication, the city conducts an inspection, and oftentimes that happens after the ordinance is passed. But in this case, have you done that? And can you give us a sort of status on where the inspection stands?
Sure. So that's exactly correct. It does take place afterwards.
Okay.
But I did do an initial inspection.
Yeah.
And I flagged 2 things that are both tied to approvals from other people. So DOT and the light rail both have to approve their access that abuts their access. So both of these things we will also approve, but they're going to be strict with those things as well. And those were the only 2 lingering things that are written into this dedication as well.
Okay, and then For those two things, when you say they're written in, what does that mean?
So legal actually wrote in as whereas clause that they would also have to approve. DOT and New Jersey Transit or New Jersey Improvements would have to approve of the access.
Okay, so we're asking the petitioner to make some changes, but he's also going to need the approval from those two entities. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay. Okay. And then you mentioned that things have been resolved with the issue at the light rail station, because there have been stairs and those stairs have been closed off. Could you just sort of tell us what the ultimate resolution was there?
That's exactly, what we're saying, that they will have to resolve. And they'll have to resolve it in a way that it is ADA compliant. And both the city and DOT both have to accept it being federally ADA compliant.
So basically the city won't kind of finalize the dedication unless those things are done.
Correct. And on the whereas clause, you could see
Right.
the NJT improvements have not yet been completed or approved by the NJDOT.
Yeah.
But that stipulation is necessary for us to accept
Sure.
the dedication.
Sure. Can I just add a question for Peter then? The question I have on this is, given the maybe snail's pace of some of the bureaucratic agencies, and one of the issues we've had with these dedications in the past is that the improvement bonds that are posted are either never posted or they're posted for only, and then I read in this, it's for 2 years. I guess my concern would be, let's say it doesn't get resolved in the 2 years where we have the improvement bond posted, then the bond is no longer valid, and then we don't have any, ability to basically compel the work to be done. So I just wonder if you could look at your team, look at the agreement, work with the, petitioner's team to just make sure, the city is protecting itself and we're not losing if DOT, transit are not, ultimately in line with folks.
Sure, yeah, we'll look into that.
Great. And then this is more a question for the petitioner, so I don't know, but if they could provide us an update on that small green space that's next to this part of the road that's being dedicated, that would be great.
So we have the petitioner's attorney here. If you want to come up, Jim.
Good evening, Council President and council members. Jim McCann, representing the petitioner.
The question is, there's that small green space to the south of Regent Street, adjacent to the beer garden. And if you could just provide an update on that space.
So unfortunately, I'm prepared to talk about everything in this dedication ordinance if asked, but I don't know the status of that green. I could find out for you before Thursday and
Great, thank you.
report to you.
No questions, James.
So the other one that I have is a resolution, and that is resolution 23-761, agenda 10.16. This is a resolution authorizing the third amendment of a license and access agreement with Honeywell International to perform environmental investigation and remediation activities on certain chromium contaminated sites within the city. This is, again, I worked with Ray Reddington and John McKinney from our legal team. Also, Bob Kavanaugh is here from that legal side. And this is just an amendment that we've made previously to extend the amount of time until everything is 100% remediated, and also include a few other locations onto the already existing list of locations.
Council, just for clarification, we'll also have an accompanying deed notice for this.
All right, thank you all.
Evening, Council President and council members. I have 4 resolutions in front of you tonight. First is item number 10.22, resolution 23-767, It's a resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with the law firm of Ronald P. Mondello, PC, for providing legal services to the Jersey City Cannabis Control Board. It's increasing the contract by $15,678.
Say that again, Maynard?
It's increasing his current contract it's for invoices paid before August 1st, and it increases to $15,678. The reason we went over the budget is because we added additional meetings.
Why did we add additional meetings?
Because of the number of applications we received. We've received over 90 applications. I don't think anyone anticipated.
Goodness.
Next on the agenda is item number 10.23, resolution 23-768. It's a resolution providing local support for Benedict Supply LLC to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business. Benedict Supply is located at 3523 Kennedy Boulevard. They were approved by the CCB on February 27th, 2023, and the Planning Board on August 22nd, 2023. And they have an MOU with ABC Kids. Next, we have item number 10.24, resolution 23-769. It's a resolution providing local support for City Farm LLC to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business. It will be located at 298 Central Avenue. It was approved by the CCB on January 23rd, 2023, and the Planning Board on August 22nd, 2023. And they have two MOUs, one with ABC Kids and the other with Styles House. And there are two others, just so the council's aware, two other locations that are within less than 600 feet.
With 1024, Maynard?
Maynard,
Got a question for this?
yeah, Maynard, how many pot places are we gonna have in Jersey City? I know New York City's not gonna have as many as us. Newark's not gonna have as many as us. What's this, like I said before, why don't we just change the name to Pot City?
Depending on what the council approves at some future date, if we have the cap would be 48, but that's still pending.
90 applications in the pipeline, Rich.
Last was item number 10.25, resolution 23-770. It's a resolution providing local support for White Lotus Dispensary LLC to operate a Class 5 cannabis retail business. And they're located at 749 West Side Avenue. They were approved by the CCB on February 27th, 2023, and the Planning Board on August 22nd, 2023. And they do have an MOU with Sarah's Daughters.
Also, to note, they share a wall with another
Yes,
applicant that was approved a month or so ago, correct?
correct.
Oh, this is that.
Yep.
But even if they get approved by us, it doesn't guarantee they're gonna open up, right? Okay, so
What the market will bear.
despite the amount that we've approved, I think only one or two have opened up. Is that true or?
Two medical facilities that have expanded, and we do have two that were approved by the state, and they should be opening within the next few weeks.
Okay. All right.
It'd be crazy to watch both of them open up at the same time. Maybe they could share the same security plan. At least the area be more
To
secure.
save money that way, right?
I would probably not be in favor of that, advocating for the residents of West Side Avenue. I don't think that that would be best scenario or outcome there.
We've been able to request a status update from the sites that have been locally approved to see where they are in the state approval process.
We've almost finalized it. We are having some difficult getting updated information from the state, but almost every application so far has notified us that they are continuing with the process.
Can they let us know when they project to be seen by the state?
I think that's hard to tell because I mean, I can't personally get a good gauge on when the state's going to approve applications. They do have an upcoming meeting on the 18th, and there's 5 applications for Jersey City at that meeting.
How frequently do the state meet?
The last meeting was postponed, I want to say 60 to 90 days. It's not every month.
But do they have a calendar, a state calendar?
They have a calendar, but that doesn't always mean that Jersey City application's on the calendar.
It's going to make it to the. Good. So what happens if, well, so we give local support and the local support is for a year, correct?
Or what? Our support doesn't expire. It's the state, there's a deadline. Once they grant the final approval, they have 2 years to open.
Say that again?
They have 2 years to open because there's still a build out stage.
So in essence, when do local support kicks in? Once it actually
Well,
opens?
the local support is required for the state to move forward with the application because the local support secures the location.
Understand that, but I'm saying from a logistical standpoint, if we give local support on January 1, 2022, and an establishment don't open until 2024, and 24 is when that 1 year you have to come back to us for local support begins?
Not sure if I follow your question.
So the local support is required by the state in order to move the process forward. Correct, right? When do the needle go in the map, or when does that year, when is it up? At what point does it start?
I believe it's from their submission date with the state, not with us. What from the state approval date?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Saying, our time is up.
We don't have it set in the ordinance where the clock starts to tick upon our approval.
Oh, so how do we review, how do we renew?
Well, yes, there's a renewal every year.
Yeah. So
Once it's approved. So the clock is really ticking from the state's level.
okay, let's say we give an approval and they don't get to see the state, our license is a year. They don't get to see the states to 2 years out. What happens in between?
They have to submit all the documents within a year of their initial application.
Okay.
Yes,
They have to, within that year, all the documents must be submitted to the state.
correct.
So they are in that window in which we approve
Correct.
a year, correct?
Yes, or it expires and they can resubmit. Thank you, Council.
Gary?
Good evening, Council President, council members. I have, I believe, one agenda item now, 10.5 Resolution 23-750, authorizing the transfer of furniture from the city to the Jersey City Free Public Library.
Council, just a little update on this. This is for the Monitor Street location that will be hopefully opening within the next 60 to 90 days. The property will be programmed through the Jersey City Library. And we did a co-op agreement where we purchased the equipment and furniture, and the library is reimbursing us for those costs.
10.4 was not necessary because your board approved it already. That's what we're told. Your board approved 10.4, correct?
They did, establishing the libraries as the book sanctuary. Our goal was to have the city to be established in its entirety, but the support of the library resolution is certainly appreciated. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. I have one item on the agenda.
It's agenda item 10.19, resolution 23-764. It's a resolution awarding contract to Persistent Construction Incorporated for construction relating to the pedestrian bridge at Reservoir 3. The bid was publicly advertised, and we received 8 bids ranging from $417,000 to a little over $1 million. And we recommend awarding to the lowest responsible bidder, Persistent Construction, in the amount of $417,360.
Ryan,
Yes.
do me a favor. I know this is Ward C and Ward D that were very involved in this whole area up there. But in the future, please have more meetings with the people up there. I've gotten more calls, more complaints, and, I know the bridge has been approved. It has to be done. But in the future, please get a hold of those neighborhood groups up there, because a lot of them are really ticked off about what's going on. You know about that.
Yes, understood.
One other issue, Brian.
I just wanted to make sure you saw Director Patel's last email that outlined everything. It's very thorough.
Also, what about the wall, the repairs on the wall?
That's ongoing, and we have documents we're reviewing right now, and we asked them to focus on the most critical areas.
All right. Do you have anything to do with the reservoir? I mean, with the ice skating rink?
No, sir, I do not.
All right.
Recreation.
Well, this is to what Council Bojana was saying, but I think many of us received emails from the Reservoir Preservation Alliance. Have we, as the city, met with them within the last month? I know that there had been meetings
Yes.
prior to that. And can you just provide a readout of that conversation?
The last meeting was a couple of weeks ago, in September 27th, I believe.
Can you summarize the conversation?
They were requesting us to look into changing materials for the bridge, and one of the recommendations was to change to Core 10, which is that rusty steel look, and it turns out to be about 3 or 4 times the cost of what we already have gotten approved from SHPO. And we spoke to them about the fact that it might start over with SHPO and start the whole project over again.
All right, when are they going to start on the buildings up there?
We are reviewing with the historic preservation architect right now. We do have a lot of grant funding from New Jersey Historic Trust. It's ongoing.
We're going on what, 4 years? Vernon Harris was great when he was there. I wish they'd bring him back. See, at least Vernon kept in touch with the community. Vernon told the people what was going on. That park, that reservoir should be open to the public. It's enough is enough. People in Ward C and Ward D use it tremendously, and I'm sure other areas of the city do too. But, 4 years is a little bit long.
It's just going to come down to money, sir.
Do you think after the construction of this bridge that we could open it or limited access?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The LSFC, we do have access to the perimeter pathway. Yes.
Awesome. Just so people could see that the city is doing work, and, it's a long time coming, and there's going to be other projects that will have to close access down for, maybe give them a little taste so they have something to look forward to.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good evening, Council President, council members. I have 4 items today. 4 of them are ordinances. The first one is 3.1, ordinance 23099. This is to prohibit on-street parking on both sides of the street on Halleck Avenue. This is just north of Broadway. It's a very short dead end, but at the dead end is the entrance to the Port Authority substation. And we've received complaints from Port Authority that there are trucks parked and blocking their access to the substation. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Uh,
Oh, okay. Okay, second one is 3.2, ordinance 23-100. This is to establish street cleaning on Smith Street. This was requested by sanitation.
Jason, we can't get street cleaning on our streets. Now you're in another street. Good luck, Janice.
He's not in charge of sweeping, but yeah.
Smith Street is another short dead end off of Bergen.
Off Bergen?
Mhm. Just between Academy and Broome.
Oh, going into the college?
Mhm.
Okay, I know you saw.
Okay, 3.3, ordinance 23-101. This is for reserve parking. All of the locations listed were approved at the August committee meeting. And then the last one is 3.4, 23-102. This is for a no parking area in front of Soho Lofts to accommodate their shuttle buses.
How many parking spaces you're taking away?
It would be 50 feet, so that's 2 on-street parking spaces.
Certain hours or all day?
This is for all day. They have service for their shuttle bus 7 days a week.
It's a big problem because there's no space.
Yeah, it's a very narrow street. It's a two-way street with parking on both sides, and the shuttle bus currently double parks and creates a traffic congestion issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen, before you leave, is there any way we can meet this Friday at 2 p.m. over at Marin?
Sure.
Is it that it's getting serious there now?
Okay, Friday at 2 p.m.
That's correct.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Sleep.
Good afternoon, Council President, Council. Very good to see you. My name is Keith Donath. I am here for two resolutions. First one is item number 10.17, resolution 23-762. Resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Department of Recreation and Youth Development to accept a donation from the Hamilton Park Neighborhood Association in the amount of $5,284.92 to cover the cost of the replacement slide at Hamilton Park Playground. Any questions on that?
10.
That was 10.17 and 10.18, resolution.
I was just wondering why the city ain't fix it. That's why I was. This, the playground park, swings and stuff in the playground?
It's a slide.
Oh, the slide.
Take it. Right.
I thought they
It's
did.
in stock. We're just waiting for the.
Wasn't the
Slide
park
replacement.
under, was just closed?
It's up to.
Yeah, that mat, that rubber mat.
Next one, Keith.
Next item number is 10.18, resolution 23-763. Resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Recreation Youth Development to donate a white 2004 Ford passenger van, VIN number 1FB SS3B L2ADAT 25170 to the Jersey City PAL organization. They're located at 163 Old Bergen Road in exchange for a donation of $1.
Hey, Keith, if you can, what does the process looks like, for nonprofits to get, van donations? Like, is there, I don't know if is there a lottery or people just come to the end? Like, how does that look?
Can I reach out to you later on that? And I'll find out exactly how to go across that.
'Cause that's the, the questions that I received after doing a community caucus.
It's a valid question.
I mean, I think we should help all nonprofits out,
But I think, based on my understanding, they had the van. I think during COVID, something happened and it was misplaced.
Huh?
Yeah, mess. It was misplaced.
The van?
Yeah. This is something that was theirs from the beginning. It was misplaced. The van,
Dude, where's my car?
the van. Then it was auctioned. So it's not like any organization could get a van from the city. It was theirs. Got mixed up somehow. That's part of the story I got when I followed this through. Okay,
Okay.
that's why. Thank you.
No problem.
Keith, before you go, what do you know about the ice skating rink?
I'm gonna donate a van.
We're gonna be, in my eyes, we're gonna be using it for Friday night recreation. So at this point, I don't know much about the ice. That's Lucinda and Rosemary.
You know, my question is, and people I know they're calling me, they're calling Youssef, and the people are really, really annoyed. That ring brought in money because they leased it out to different organizations.
Understood, yeah.
And my question basically is, how the heck did this city let it fall into such disrepair over the years? Something is wrong there, Keith, and we got to get it open. They got 10 million or 30 million for the that place in Journal Square. They got another 30 million for the Loews Theater. Let's take care of the kids of this city here and the people, high school kids and others of Jersey City. Get that damn thing open.
I hear you, Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, Pompidou, yeah, $30 million.
John.
Good afternoon, Council. The first one I have is item 4.3, ordinance 23-098. This is an ordinance approving a tax exemption and authorizing a financial agreement regarding Lafayette Village. We're actually reintroducing this one as a first read because we need to make some amendments to the ordinance. It's not going to be using the long-term tax exemption statute. It's going to be using the HMFA statute for their pilot. We think it's a substantial enough change because that takes out the 5% for the county that it needs to be reintroduced.
Does it change the terms of the agreement at all?
No. The numbers are all the same.
So council members, just for your edification, I'll be asking for a motion to amend before we hold the public hearing because we're not going to be voting on the ordinance as is. And those substantial changes will create a vote tomorrow night for introduction with all the amendments. And I'm going to advertise it for a public hearing for second reading on October 25th. Okay, just so you all know. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Second item is 10.5, resolution 23-750. This is authorizing the transfer of various purchased furniture to the library.
We did that already.
You did? Okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't
the
tell
director of
because
the
it went
library.
to the one before it, so I got confused.
Oh,
Or John, the other John handled it.
how much are we spending on new furniture, John?
We're getting reimbursed for it. That's part of this resolution. It's a reimbursement agreement. So the council authorized this, I believe last year. I attached all the POs and resolutions to the current resolution, but the library's reimbursing us for all of it. Next one is 10.27, resolution 23-772. This resolution authorizing the ratification of a professional services agreement to Serenian, Edwards, Buzak, and Nolan LLC. They're serving as outside counsel for us in our filing of a declaratory judgment motion to collect development fees. It's the first step we need to go through to start collecting the fees pursuant to our newly adopted development fee ordinance. Okay. Thank you very much.
Director Shay. Marvin.
So I got questions to ask them.
No. Shay, on the top.
Okay, Council President, before I do, I know the BA wants to address the city council.
Three things, for the, police, items. The one, I mean, if the council wishes to carry it, they will, but briefly on what it is. The, one resolution, is for, the purchase of ammunition. This is for the annual qualification, that the police officers have to do, to stay in good standings with their state certifications. So we buy this ammunition separately and it's just used at the range. It's not for live, duty. And the second one is just amending the grant that we received for, safe and secure communities. And we previously approved this one in June, but the match number was incorrect. So the state had asked us to just go back and change the verbiage there, from 400,000 to 200,000, but it's no additional cost, no savings, it's just the language in the grant. And the last item I have, I had spoken to Council President earlier. Last council meeting, we had 68 Monitor Street. It was a petition request that the council had asked to carry. So I asked the petitioner's attorney to come just to give a brief update on what the variance would be.
So John, while he's coming up, that was 10.10 and 10.11, correct? Thank you.
Thank you, Council President and members of the council, Robert Vertibello. This is regarding the petition for a franchise ordinance on 62-68 Monitor Street. This was the ADA compliance ramp. We did meet with Councilwoman Ridley. I'm glad to hear that she successfully gave birth. I think I was her last appointment. We do have an appointment set up for this Thursday with Councilman Gilmore to discuss the project. Just a rehash. This is not a change order. This was part of the site plan approval. This was vetted by the Morris Canal Community Development Corporation as part of our site plan approval in 2021, 2022. This is the end part of this project. Time is at this point not on our side. The project is finishing up. This is before they can pour concrete for the sidewalks and for the ramp. We need to get this moving. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck and it's going to be stuck without a sidewalk as well. But we do want to keep things moving. Like I said, we do have an appointment this Thursday at 2:30, Councilman Gilmore. I've also reached out to Councilman Bogiano. I have an appointment with him on the 18th. I know he raised some concerns about it at the last meeting, so that'll be in time, with plenty of time before any second reading. And if there are issues before the second reading, obviously we can address them and or the matter can be further carried.
What's our appointment on the 18th?
I spoke to your staff, so I think it's the afternoon on the 18th.
On what?
Of October.
I know, but what are we meeting about?
About this.
They haven't told me.
The franchise ordinance. What I want to explain, I know you had some concerns that you raised at the last council meeting about this type of franchise ordinance. What we wanted to do is just make you aware of the process of how we got here. That's really as part of the adaptive reuse of the process and the historic preservation of this facade that was deemed historic by city staff. And this is the resulting impact, if you will, that we have to have this ADA compliance ramp. Like I said, this is not a change order. This isn't anything that came after the fact. This was always up front and center as part of the application process.
Are you talking about the houses on Pavonia Avenue?
No, this is on Monitor Street.
Councilman, last meeting, there was a request for a variance on 68 Monitor Street that you had concerns about the easement. And this is just clarification that it's for a handicap compliance ramp and that you're going to have a meeting on the 18th to discuss further if there's any details you need to know.
That item was was it a second reading?
No, it was withdrawn at the last council meeting. Was item, I believe it was 3.1.
Oh, it was a first, okay.
It was a first reading, Councilman.
Yeah,
So
Councilman.
Rich, you'll have time to address it because it only come back as a first reading and then.
All right. Up this.
That's your 8.
Thank you.
All right, from the top. So the first readings were all covered, 3.1 through 3.6 were all covered earlier. Second readings, item 4.1, City Ordinance 23-085 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to 331 SIP LLC, its successors and assigns to make private improvements consisting of upper floor projections over the public sidewalk in a new residential building on the south side of 331 SIP Avenue, also known as Block 11902, Lot 3 on the official tax assessment map of the city of Jersey City. Is it my understanding that I'm sorry, Councilman, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I believe my understanding is that we're going to carry this for an additional meeting till the October 25th meeting, and I'll just let the BA confirm that.
All right, Councilman, tell me to do it.
What? We're going to table it.
All right, we're going to table it. We've spoke to the petitioner's attorney and the councilman, and they agreed to a public community meeting prior to any enactment.
I spoke to Manzo tonight and they called him and they're going to arrange a meeting.
Correct. And they also, I believe, reached out to Joe Capizoli, but just to clarify, we're carrying it. We're not tabling it, correct? Are we tabling?
We're carrying it.
Carrying it. We want to get the details ironed out prior to.
And I understood. I just want to make sure that whatever I communicate back is clear.
Because the one thing we don't want to do is hold a public hearing if we're not all on the same page yet.
Correct.
Okay. Item 4.2, City Ordinance 23-097 is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving the execution of an amended and reinstated water service franchise and service agreement between the city and the Jersey City Municipal Utilities Authority to increase the payments to the city.
Council, I did circulate a memo kind of later this afternoon, but just to reiterate, we had some questions and concerns from council. Obviously, there's been some public discourse on this, so we're going to carry it. And I request that if there's any questions or concerns, we got some already from Councilman Solomon, just to send them our way, and we're going to put together a packet presentation before we proceed with anything here.
John, there's a lot of controversy over this. A lot of controversy.
We're going to take our time and do our due diligence to iron it out prior to bringing it back to the council.
So, BA, just so I'm clear, are we actually putting a date to when we're carrying it, or do you want to put like a November date, one of the November meeting dates?
Let's hold a November date just to give the administration and the council ample time to review it. We're not looking to rush it here.
Okay, thank you. Item 4.3 was touched on earlier, and then we go to our public request for a hearing. On the agenda is 19, but it is growing. Next is petitions and communications. Any questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.30? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on office communications 7.1 through 7.11? Any questions or comments on reported directors 8.1? We have our claims and then on to our resolutions. First resolution 10.1, City Resolution 23-746 is a resolution of the Jersey City Municipal Council in support of Assembly Bill A1515, which would allow municipalities to establish civilian complaint review boards. Next, item 10.2, Resolution 23-747 is a resolution in support of Senator Kristen Gillibrand's Bill S.1008 and Representative Richie Torres's Bill 118 HR 1797, both entitled Setting Consumer Standards for Lithium-Ion Batteries Act to require the Consumer Product Safety Commission to promulgate safety standards for regulating lithium-ion batteries within micro-mobility vehicles, including electric bikes and scooters. Item 10.3, City Resolution 23-748 is a resolution commemoratively designating Terhune Avenue between Fowler Avenue and JFK Boulevard in the city of Jersey City as General Edward Daly Way in honor of General Edward M. Daly. Item 10.4 is going to be withdrawn. As per Council President, we've done this already, so I'll state that for the record. Item 10.5 was touched on earlier. Item 10.6, item 23-751 is a resolution commending your city clerk for his 30 years of service to the city of Jersey City.
John, can you pull that one?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You're not going to get another 30 years from me if you do that. Anyway, item 10.7, resolution 23-752 is a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting to procure a consultant to prepare a comprehensive compensation plan for management employees. 10.8, resolution. Go ahead.
Briefly describe what it is.
Absolutely, Councilman. So this is something that we haven't had that we're looking to implement. Don't want to get into too many details because it will be a competitive contract. But what we're looking to do there is look at pay equity, benefit packages that are presented in the public sector nationwide, and some of the best practices that we can implement here, with the main goal of employee retention and morale.
And how are we defining management employees? Is this covering, department directors, division directors below? What's the sort of scope?
Yeah, so it's based on your civil service title. So for management employees, it's outlined. It's mostly senior. I don't want to use the word management. Senior employees, division directors, and department directors. Obviously, department directors are tied to an ordinance, so it'd be more the mid-tier management. And if you want to describe it, it's basically any individual that's not within a union.
Thanks.
Okay, next is 10.8, resolution 23-753 is a resolution ratifying the award of a professional service agreement with the law firm Cleary, Jacoby, Altheri, and Jacobs LLC to provide advice and counsel on personnel and internal best practices.
Yes, Council, we have, in light of some of the concerns that have been raised to Council about the leveling board, we've been working with Council President, Councilperson Rivera. We're consulting with an outside attorney to conduct a review of the process that we, in the particular case that we have that has been the subject of much public comment, and also just to make sure we're following procedures and that everything is on the up and up. So he'll be conducting that review. He'll be issuing a written findings that will obviously be provided to myself, the administration, and the council. And that should be coming, I would guess sometime next month.
Next, item 10.9, resolution 23-754 is a resolution approving the nomination of Sergey Sanchez Esquire to fill the assistant municipal prosecutor vacancy. 10.10.
Sorry. I don't think there's a resume on that. Can we just get that before Thursday?
We'll send that out tomorrow morning.
10.10 and 10.11 were touched on earlier. 10.12, resolution 23-757 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Safeware Inc. for maintenance and repair services for radios throughout the U.S. Community Government Purchasing Alliance, known as the Omnia Partners, for the Department of Public Safety Division of Communications and Technology. Item 10.13, resolution 23-758 is a resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to sell various motor vehicles at public auction. Items 10.14 through 19 were covered earlier. 10.20, resolution 23-765 is a resolution ratifying the award of professional service agreement with Count Kennedy and Kenchevsky. If I'm mispronouncing, I apologize. To provide legal advice and counsel in regards to various employment-related investigations. Item 10.21, resolution 23-766 is a resolution ratifying the reward of professional service agreement with the law firm of Renone, Conklin, and Michello LLC to provide legal advice and counsel in regards to the JCSA-SOE double time and contract negotiations. So 1011 was explained by the business administrator earlier because the director was not present at the caucus.
I mean, it was just 1011 was for the delivery of ammunition for the police officers to requalify at the firing range. It's an annual requirement by state.
No, I understand that. I just think in all fairness to all of the other departments that Senate representative and or the director is coming, that it has to be a universal policy across the board, no matter how light something, I'm like, if there's someone that could have come.
Tell him to send a representative. If he can't come, he should send a
I
representative.
respect that.
But for public safety, you know, they was a culprit for not showing up. We know that, but now we need them to show up. If he can't come, he could just send a representative. He could even have Kiers explain what it was for, to be perfectly honest.
It's almost like you set me up for this one. I actually have a
Right,
a policy here that I'm going to distribute to the
right.
directors, council president, and I work
It
on
has to be
this.
policy. I got
That
it.
it's a stated policy that a department director or division director is mandated to attend caucuses.
Correct.
You know, John, I wish Shay had shown up tonight because I called him on Saturday because they were doing construction all over the city here. And we have nobody working in the, in the planning division to get inspectors out there. Something has to be done in this city. You call the police, Shay said he was calling the cops. Nothing was ever done.
Who is the
They worked
police
all
director?
weekend long, and it's wrong.
That's the question. Who is the police director?
We don't have one.
No. We had somebody acting.
We have Chief Kearns. who's the
Okay,
acting chief.
I knew we had somebody. So now,
Chief.
but can he be a voice for the police department?
Yes.
Okay. So then maybe that's who we need to start speaking to is him. I think that's fair. Because he is a police officer. So if there's police issues, we should speak to police.
Yeah, we could speak to the police, but I'll speak to you
Yeah,
privately.
okay.
Of course, I
But
don't want to turn this up.
gotcha. But that's who should come if they cannot come. All right? That's it. Because we haven't met him. I mean, some of us know him, but he have not introduced himself publicly, really.
And that's when we had the fire department training. We did have Chief Drennan here, so
Right,
Chief Kearns would be the opposite of that for the
correct.
parallel.
He would be.
Okay, and the 10.25 was touched on earlier. 10.26, Resolution 23-771 is a resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by the law firm Dario Albert Metz Kanda Concanon, and Ortiz LLC for providing legal services to the Jersey City Ethical Standards Board. Council members, this is a payment for the Ethical Standards Board attorney. This board has not met since 2019, but they did meet and the payments were not processed. We had COVID and our late great clerk, Robert Byrne, was the acting secretary. So now we have appointed my deputy, John Hallinan, as the new secretary of the Ethical Standards Board, and they're fully constituted. So now they have a schedule of meetings. They're going to actually schedule an annual notice of meetings at their next meeting.
Could we have a list of all the members?
Sure, I can provide that to all the council members tonight.
We could still blame Robert, or?
No, we're not blaming him for anything. No. Just kidding. So I have a motion to adjourn at 5:35 PM by Councilperson Rivera, and I heard a quiet second from Councilperson Saleh. All council members present to motion to adjourn at 5:35 PM by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 5:35. Thank you so much, everyone present and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night and stay safe.